with the vertical shift. I want to get through this graph so I can do the note. So what's our shift here? Up 4. I am going to ask separately, not on the graphing questions, but separately what the shift is. Please don't put +4. I can't give you credit. I don't know if you know if that means up or down. So please put the word up or the word down tomorrow. So up 4. My midline equation. The line that splits the max and min in half. That's also known as the shift. If it was up 4, my equation is going to be y equals 4. It's a horizontal line going through 4. Period. 2 pi until today. You want to do the min and the max now? All right, max. What was it before I shifted? What was it before I went up 4? Well, +1, and then you went up 4, so the new max is 5. Yep. Minimum. What was the minimum before I shifted? -1, and I went up 4, so the new minimum, +3. So max 5, min 3. I would highly recommend you do this tomorrow in the 2 graphs. Highly recommend it. So now my range is pretty easy. What's my range now? Minimum to max, 3 to 5. Yep. Amplitude. We went over this formula the last 2 days of class. 1/2 max minus minimum. So the amplitude will be what, 1? Yep, amplitude always positive. All right, you ready to graph? Here's where it could get confusing, but I am going to ask something like this tomorrow. Where does sine start? At 0, but there's a shift, isn't there? So it's not going to start at 0. Where's this graph going to start? At the shift, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's it go after the shift? Not in this graph, but in basic sine curve. Basic sine curve. Starts at 0, goes where? Max, but what do you guys see inside, in front of it? A negative, so I'm not going to go to the max. I'm going to go where? Minimum, yep. Which we already wrote down was 3. Watch out, I'm going to put a negative on there tomorrow. Then where does it usually go? Where do we keep going? So usually it goes to the max, but we had to flip it. Where's it go next? 0, which in our case is what in this problem? 4. Where's basic sine curve go after that 0? Minimum, but the negative says flip it to its max, which is 5. Is that 5? Relax. And then where's the sine curve end? At 0 for us, 4. There it is. Questions? Those are the graphs I'm going to ask you to do tomorrow. We are going to do something new today, but this is what I'm going to ask you to. There's 2 on there tomorrow. Two graphs I'm going to ask you to do, and they're just like what's in front of you right now. Okay, nothing's going to be different. No matter what I do today, nothing's going to be different. Anything you want to ask here? Because this, unless you're coming in for extra help, 6th or after school, this is all I'm going to go over as far as the graphing goes. Yep.
Can you just explain again how a negative in front changes
the negative in front? Whenever there's a max on the original curve, it becomes a minimum. All right, and wherever there's a minimum, it becomes a max. The zeros are going to stay zeros. The only thing that affects 0 is the shift. That's it. But maxes and mins switch spots when there's a negative out in front. Anything we got to review? Anything here on the graphs? Yep.
So will it change the graph at all if it's sine or cosine?
Well, yeah. Cosine starts differently. Like if I replace sine with cosine here, this is a totally looking new graph. Sine and cosine are two different graphs. We got to know what each basic one looks like. Yep, Jeremy?
So, does the cosine start at the max?
Cosine starts at the max, correct. Ends at the max. Max, 0, min, 0, max.
So if it was negative cosine,
Then it would start at the minimum, right? It would flip over,
and
right?
And then end at the minimum.
It would start at the minimum, 0, max, 0, min. If there was a negative in front, yep. But again, I highly recommend, even though it may not ask it, finding your max and min before you do any graphs. Okay, before you do any graphs. Anything else? Okay, let's get going with today's stuff then. I am going to actually cut the notes short today. All right, I'm going to cut the notes short because I don't want to go into stuff that's not on the quiz. All right, so once I cut the notes off today, you know exactly what will be on the quiz. All right, you'll know exactly what will be on the quiz. All right, we're going to change things up a little bit. Everybody say I have 3 cosine here. That's 3 cosine x, this curve I graphed for you. All right, everyone, where does cosine start?
0.
Oh, boy. Max, right? That's why it starts at 3. This answers your question, Jeremy. Goes to 0. Goes to the minimum, which would be what on this curve? -3 to 0 to 3. So here's I'm not really worried about the negative side. I start at 3, end at 3. There's my cosine curve. We're all good. All right, now I'm going to throw a little something different at you. I still got the 3 in front, but take a look now. Now I'm going to put a number inside the parenthesis with x. And how does that affect the graph today? All right, how does that affect the graph? I'm just going to tell you where to put points, all right, because it says use your graphing calculator. I don't want to waste time doing that. All right, so here's where I want you to put the points for this. Grab your colored pencil you got. Grab one of them. Did we just miss a whole row here?
Yeah.
Jeremy, get those bad boys over here.
I have my
Good, Ryan. This row here. Move it up. Yep, come on up. Because you're going to do 2 other graphs on top of this one, so I want them in different colors. All right, so here you go. I'm going to show you the graph of 3 cosine 2x right now, and you're going to see how different it is from the original. All right, first point, still going to start at the max. Okay, so still put at 0, still put a point at the max. At pi over 2, it's going to go to the minimum. Pi over 2, going to go to the minimum. So what's the minimum of this still? -3. 1, 2, 3. At pi, it's going to go back to the max. 3. 3 pi over 2 to the minimum. And at 2 pi, back to the max. So here is the curve 3 cosine 2x. Oh, we see a little difference here now. Maybe what effect the 2 had on it.
Was it dilated?
No. Let's read part B. How many full cycles of cosine do you see between 0 and 2 pi? How many fit between 0 and 2 pi now? How many cosine curves do you see?
2.
Everyone sees 2 now, right? Where did we see that 2 before already today? What was right inside here? That's how many curves we saw, right? 2. Huh, interesting. All right, so let me try to challenge you right now. If I see 2 cycles of this, let's talk. What's the period then? Because usually the period was 2 pi. The period is how long does it take on the x-axis to make one curve? How long does it take on the x-axis? What's the distance on the x-axis it took to make one of these curves? From 0 to what? Yeah, it took pi now, not 2 pi anymore. Interesting. All right. Let's do a third graph now. Grab your other colored pencil. Now we're going to do 3 cosine 1/2 x. Predictions? Based off the 2x one we just did, what do you think the predictions are here? I'm only going to see what? Half a cosine curve. Let's see. All right. Still going to start at the max. Whoop. Jump over to pi, 0. At 2 pi, the minimum, -3. And remember, this is cosine, right? This is not a little line, right? And was our prediction correct? How much of the curve do you see there? How many of the full cycles do you see within 2 pi? I only see how much of the cosine curve? Half of it, yep. Half cycle. Everyone agrees that's half the cosine curve. Okay, so now we're going to have to think about this one. What would the period of this one be? Don't yell anything out. How long would it take to make a full one? If I see half a one to 2 pi, how long do you think it's going to take to make a full curve? What do you think, Connor?
4 pi.
4 pi, right? If I see half of it at 2 pi, it's going to take another 2 pi to make a full one to get to 4 pi. Yep. All right, let's put some names to all this stuff now. Let's put some names to this. Everyone see the number inside there? That's going to be referred to as my B value now. Remember yesterday we had an A, which was amplitude. We had a C on the outside. What was the C yesterday? Shift. And now I'm going to put a number with the X called my B value, and we're going to refer to that as the frequency. How many of those curves you see from 0 to 2 pi? All right, so a little quick note here. How many cycles fit in 2 pi? All right, how many cycles fit in 2 pi? That's what that number represents. How many curves you're going to see. And that number affects your period. Okay, I'm going to show how they relate here in a second, all right? But the frequency affects what the period's going to be. All right, let's go through here. I'm just going to give you the formula. I hate this. Oh, here's where it came from, everything deal. Here's the period formula. You're going to write it here, and then you're going to go to the front of your packet and write it again, because you'll need this for tomorrow's quiz. Period, P. And remember, I'm real big on vocab this unit. Period is how long it takes for what? For one curve to form. Okay, how long it takes on the x-axis for one curve to form. That formula is going to be 2 pi divided by the B value. What did we call B already? What's the name for B? Frequency. Yep. That's how you find the period of a curve. You take 2 pi and you divide it by its frequency, the B value in the equation. All right, go back up to exercise 2. These are the 3 curves we just graphed. What's our number go up to again? Where are we here with our numbers? 15. Anybody have higher than 15? Anybody have 15?
I think it was 12.
12? Yep, Frank's 13, perfect. Olivia, you're 14. There we go, we're up to 14 now. 2 other classmates about to join you sooner or later, new classmates. Here we go, 1. Who's got 1? What's up, Ryan? Okay, 3 cosine x, that's the original one I had graphed. What's the frequency now? 1. Everyone see why it's 1? It's the number next to the x, the b value. Nothing's there, but we know there's a 1. All right, now how do I find the period? Use the formula. I need this formula tomorrow on the quiz. Ryan, 2 pi divided by, what was your frequency? 1, so the period is 2 pi. And that's how long it took to make the curve, 2 pi. Look back at your graph. All right, the second one we did, 3 cosine 2x. 10, what's my frequency here?
It'll be
2, good. It's the b value right between the x. 2, so the period's going to be 2 pi divided by b. So what was my period here, Jeremy?
It'll be 1.
Oh,
Oh, 1 pi.
1 pi. So if you went from 0 to pi, you're going to see one of these curves. And finally, C here, the third curve we just graphed. Ryan, you already went, you're good. 11, what's the frequency in this curve? 1/2, it's the b value, that's it. Frequency is the b value. 1/2. All right, now we get a little nuts here for period. 2 pi divided by 1/2. We don't leave it like that. Absolutely not. We dealt with this last unit. Fraction divided by a fraction. Anybody remember how we dealt with it? What's up, Car? Yep. So we take the numerator, keep it, change it to multiplication, flip the bottom. So what's the period here? 4 pi. That's how long, that's a little bit longer to make the curve, right? Go to 4 pi. Anything here? We're going to do more examples, and I'm going to shut it down. All right. Next up, here you go, 3 of them. Determine the period for each. Determine the period for each. All right, so I know right away, period formula. Period equals 2 pi divided by the b value, aka frequency. Here we go. 7, 2 pi divided by what? Added 6 and 4. Which one's my b value? 4. Yep. 2 pi divided by 4. Leave the pi in your answer, please. Leave it in your answer. All right, leave it in your answer. I'd accept this tomorrow if you left it on the quiz. Reduce it sometimes if you can, but I would accept that. What's that reduce, Zach? Pi over 2. Again, go ahead. I'll let you guys finish. What's the meaning of that now? Here's what the meaning is. If you want to see one of these curves, you go from 0 to pi over 2. You'll see one of those curves from 0 to pi over 2. All right? That's what that means. That if I graph, and we're not going to graph, we will eventually, but not today. Believe it or not, you would see one of those curves from 0 to pi over 2 squished in there. And how high would it go? How high would it go?
6.
Challenge. Well, how high would it go?
6.
Yeah, that still means the same thing, right? And how low would it go? Okay, yeah. All right, I'm not affecting anything there. It's just something new on the x-axis. All right, here we go. Next one. 4. Period 2. I'm going to keep writing the formula. Period 2 pi over b. Period. All right, here we're 4. What's my b value now?
It would be pi over 3.
Yeah, all right, ready, everybody? Pi over 3. We're not leaving it like that tomorrow, please. Clean it up. How do I clean it up? 2 pi times what now? 3 over pi. Anything going to happen? Can I?
Yes.
Yep. So what's the period here? 6. Yep. And you're going to see that a little bit more now. Sometimes the period doesn't have the pi in it anymore. So it's going to go out it's going to take 6 radians to make this curve. Hey, how high is it going to go?
8.
8. How low?
Negative.
All right. All right. It's just going to go out to 6 radians to make a full curve. C. Last one here, I think. All right, what do you got for me here for the period only? 12 period equals 2 pi. What's my b value? Frequency. 2/3 divided by 2/3. Skip and flip. Keep the 2 pi. Multiply it by 3 over 2. Anything happening here? Can I cross out the 2's?
Yes.
Is one on top, one on the bottom?
Yes.
Okay. What's the period now?
3
Yep. So it's going to take me all the way to 3 pi to get there. Couple challenge questions. How high is it going to go? 12. What's the minimum?
Negative.
Negative 12. Wherever there's a max, though, what do you got to do? If we're graphing this, when I get to the max, what do you got to do? Flip it. When you get to a min, you flip it. That's it. All right. Questions on finding period, because that is the new stuff today that'll be on the quiz tomorrow. Yes, Zach?
Will there be a negative frequency?
Never.
Never.
Never. Nope. Because remember what frequency is, how many of these curves you would see if I graph from 0 to 2 pi. I can't see a negative amount of curves. Okay? So no, frequency, never negative. Okay? Only thing a negative does in this unit is flip. That's it. That's all the negative does. Any other questions or comments? I don't want to start graphing until Thursday because these graphs are not on the quiz. Okay? Everyone understand what graphs will be? The ones on the assignment last night. Okay, so why don't we get started? What time? Well, we got plenty of time. Go back. If you didn't finish those graphs from last night, you may want to try some out and check them on Classroom. If not, you guys have enough knowledge right now. Actually, you know what? Let's do number 3 together on the assignment. Let's do number 3 together on the assignment. Because you may get a little freaked out by that, and I don't want you to. There's no reason to. So just give me a second to copy and paste that. Okay. You guys can read through it while I'm copying and pasting it. A little bit different here. I'm going backwards on you. But I think you can handle it. What's this question giving you? Yeah, right? And I'm asking you to find the frequency now. Given period. So see how usually you know the frequency and you'll give me the period. Still use what formula? 2 pi over. All right, everyone stay with me. No big deal. We're fine. What's the period?
18.
All right, so where should I plug the 18 in for? All right, ready? 18 equals 2 pi over b, and you're asked to solve for the frequency, b. Any thoughts on the algebra now?
Divide by 2 pi.
I don't want to divide by 2 pi here.
Multiply.
All right, 8, it's equal to each other, so as long as it's equal, yeah, I can cross multiply. 18b equals 2 pi. How do I get the b by itself?
Divide by 18.
All right, let's divide by 18, divide by 18. So it looks like the frequency is 2 pi over 18. That's not a choice, though, is it? Unfortunately.
Well, you can, simplify it.
Can I?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't see 2 pi over 18 over up there.
You can do, 2 pi over, 2 over 18 equals to 1 over 9.
Okay. Here we go. Pi over 9. We can handle that. If I give you the period and find the frequency. Front of your, I forgot, front of your packet. Front of your packet. Let's copy down the period formula now. Period equals 2 pi over b. And then you see those three formulas on there? A, C, and period now. Those are the three you need for the quiz tomorrow. I am going to ask for...
The range,
What's that?
the range.
What about it? Range is what? Yeah, range will be on there tomorrow.
So I wrote it down.
Okay. You can't use this tomorrow, though, by the way. Like, it's a clean test tomorrow. Okay, so you guys are on the hook for the A, the C, and the period formula tomorrow. Those are the three formulas you'll need. Any questions here? I feel like I should just do like a random one right now. What do we think here? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes? All right, here you go. You want it all? Negatives and everything? All right, pick a number. Negative 4. Sine, cosine.
Cosine.
I'm not going to put a number with the x tomorrow. I promise you that. To graph anyway. And then what do you want to shift? What's the minus plus?
Minus 8.
Minus 8. Okay. Let's go min and max. Last thing I'm going to do is graph this. Min and max. How are you going to find it? There it is tomorrow. Minimum. Minimum? How do I find it?
Minus 4, minus 8.
Negative 4. It was the old minimum.
Minus 8.
Move it 8 down. The new minimum. Negative 12. Yep. All right. How about the max of this curve?
4 minus 8.
4 was the old one. Shift it down. The new max. Negative 4. Range. Range.
Negative 4 and negative 12.
Brackets. Negative 4 and negative 12. Frequency.
2 pi.
Frequency. We just went over frequency. That's another name for the B value. 1. Even though I don't need it for the graph, I still may ask it tomorrow. I'm definitely going to ask it tomorrow. Period. Oh, how do we get it? I want to use the formula. 2 pi
Over 1.
divided by B, which is 1. Yep, so that's how we get 2 pi. Let's see, what else? Oh, shift. Shift. Down 8, not minus 8. Down 8. Let's see, what else could I ask? Midline equation. Midline equation. Y equals negative 8. Amplitude. One half. What? Max. Negative 4. Minus minimum. Negative 12.
Negative 8.
Shouldn't be negative. Amplitude should never be negative.
Oh.
It's always positive because that's the height of the curve. Should be 4. Yep. Because you get 1/2 of 8, positive 8. All right, graph, I guess, now is the last thing. I'm only going to ask you to graph in the positive direction tomorrow, so no worries about the negative.
Can we do another problem?
What's that?
Can we do another one?
I haven't even done graphing yet. What did we say the max was? -4 and -12, so the positives don't even matter, huh? -4 and -12, and what's my shift? -8?
Yeah.
So that's got to be on there too. All right, you guys ready? We're doing cosine, right?
Yep.
And there's a negative in front. Ooh, boy. Here you go. Where's cosine start? Usually the max, right? But it's a negative there, so I'm going to really start at the minimum of -12. All right, tell me where it goes from here. To the 0, right? But what's our new 0? Shifted. -8. Usually cosine is at the minimum here, but max, which was -4. And then usually all the time it goes back to the 0, which is -8. Cosine finishes where usually? Where it started. It's a good idea. Usually the max, but we're flipping it. There it is. Questions? All good? Yep.
For range, is it usually a bracket, minimum, comma, maximum?
Correct. Not usually, every time.
Well, then, does it put negative?
What did I put there? That should have been flipped. Sorry. Yep. -12, -4. Thank you. Yep.
Can we do another one?
I can come over and do one with you. Yeah, sure. Anything else going? Okay, so if you want, you can start with questions 1 and 2 on page 18. All right, questions 1 and 2. Some of you may want to go back and try some of those graphs from yesterday's assignment if you didn't finish those, and check your work there. Any questions on the quiz tomorrow? If you're not here, you'll take it Thursday. Pretty easy. All right, no ifs, ands, or buts. We'll find time on Thursday, even if it's during class.